The Last of Us HBO star Bella Ramsey reveals she was encouraged not to play the game before filming. Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to another GNRO MiniCast. We're happy to be able to provide these to you, and this story is coming to us once again from our buddies over at boundingintocomics.com. And today we actually have author Ryan Williams talking about the Last of Us HBO series and their casting of Elly being told not to play the game, or at least go into the source material. But let's get into it, shall we? HBO has finally unveiled its first trailer for the small screen debut of their Last of Us series, which is a bad idea because The Last of Us is a horrible video game series that should feel really bad of itself for really bad about itself for its horrible writing. And while the studio undoubtedly hoped it would get fans hyped for what's to come, a subsequent revelation from lead actress Bella Ramsey may have severely blunted the surrounding excitement. For those who don't know Bella Ramsey, I believe she played the leader of House Mormont in the Game of Thrones series, first 8 seasons. I don't know if she's gotten another role with House of the Dragon, but I do think she's gotten another film role fairly soon as well recently. So, starting life as a survival horror series for the PlayStation family of consoles, The Last of Us centers around an apocalypse brought upon humanity by a fungi-based virus, the cordyceps brain infection, which turns the infected into terrifying, zombie-like creatures. Holy shit. This is actually a great idea that ultimately was shit upon by these games. In the original game, released for the PS3 in 2013, players are introduced to Joel, a survivor who survives in this new world by working as a smuggler, all the while mourning the death of his daughter, who was tragically gunned down in the chaos of the self-explanatory Outbreak Day, which is, again, a very difficult thing to watch. And frankly, Neil Cuckman is a bastard for doing it, because the way I understand it, he wrote that. If he didn't, then I'd be willing to hand out an apology, maybe. But the rest of the games are pretty shit. During a job, he meets a girl named Elly and soon discovers that she is outright immune to the infection, which they immediately shat on in the second game, speculating that her DNA may hold the key to ending this nightmare. The two embark on a journey across the Boston wasteland to find anyone who can help them realize the potential hidden within Elly's genetics. It's not just the Boston wasteland, it's the entire United States. What you're basically assuming is that it's The Last of Us Part 2, which is primarily based in Seattle. A popular video game franchise for both developer Naughty Dog and their parent company Sony, with the series receiving a staggering number of sequels, prequels, ports. Staggering number? It got one. It got one sequel, and it's gotten basically 2 ports. A remastering of The Last of Us, as well as Last of Us Part 1, which is basically bringing Last of Us Remastered to PS5. And remakes in the short 10-year lifespan. Whatever. The series is set to continue capitalizing on its popularity by making the jump to live action, courtesy of HBO. Released on September 26th, the series teaser gives us our first real look at The Mandalorian and Wonder Woman 1984 star Pedro Pascal as Joel, and the Game of Thrones actress Bella Ramsey as Elly. Okay, the teaser also provides a brief glance at a clicker, a breed of fungus zombie which seeks out its prey using echolocation, and there it is. There's the image for it. Unfortunately, it was a very brief glance. Whether this was just the series' way of building more hype by keeping its cards close to its chest, or an indication of how HBO will regularly depict The Last of Us resident monsters. With the series focus on more of its human drama, because that's what everybody wanted, it's possible that we could get something akin to The Walking Dead, wherein we will go whole episodes without any signs of a zombie, because that would be difficult to be able to put on screen all the time. Especially when it comes to the monsters in The Last of Us, because it actually gets worse after a while. You don't just have the infected, you don't just have the clickers, you also have the bloaters, so you'd have to CG those, and that would be a costly measure. But with The Last of Us HBO focusing on more with The Last of Us HBO focusing on more than the human drama, we will seemingly get more akin to The Walking Dead, where we get a whole episode's not seeing a single sign of a zombie. In The Walking Dead, this was used mostly for cost-saving measures, and while HBO may be trying to tighten the purse strings, they could simply be saving the best for the show itself. That is entirely possible, however, I doubt it. From there, the trailer mostly focuses on the series' post-apocalyptic setting, showcasing more of the human side of the world, as well as some of the frankly beautiful-looking locations and sets. Oh wait, it's not just the Boston wasteland? Like they just barely said? No, I have a feeling they'll be slow about it, especially considering that there's a lot of holes in the first game, so they'll probably start filling those as well. Notably, it also features the debut of Storm Reed as Riley Abel, the young woman with whom Elly falls in love with prior to meeting up with Joel, as depicted in the events of the Left Behind DLC. So I have a feeling we'll get flashbacks on that. Yay, because that worked out so well. Actually, I will be honest, the DLC was one of the things that I didn't have that many problems with. However, considering what happened afterwards, it's all been spat upon by The Last of Us Part 2, so it doesn't even matter. As well as Nick Offerman as Joel and Ellie's reluctant one-time ally, Bill. Oh, great! We're gonna have Bill in this series, because Bill was depicted so well in the 2013 game. He's basically, we hate conspiracy theorists. That's the character. Do you understand who he is now? Admittedly, the teaser does not give us much to go off of. It does provide just enough to entice both fans of the series and newcomers alike. I don't think it's enticing anybody right now. The former will be drawn in by the chance to see the live-action adaptation of such original elements as Outbreak Day and the Firefly Resistance Group, while the latter will be intrigued by the overall mystery of what could have caused the world to be overrun by creatures with mushrooms for heads. I honestly think there's not going to be a whole lot there, because welcome to the world. I can sum it all up for you guys. Are you ready? Welcome to the world of The Last of Us, where everybody's a dick to each other. That's pretty much the story that they're going to be telling. I'm pretty sure it's going to be this person screws this person over and then gets screwed over in the next episode, and then that person gets screwed over in the next episode, so on and so forth. That's how it's going to go, and it's just like with what Neil Cuckman was trying to do. It is an original, and it's going to get old very quickly. However, one group who will likely find themselves disappointed to some extent are the original game series diehard fans, because gamers just get treated so well by Hollywood. As like with many live-action adaptations of popular comic book and video game IPs, those in charge of bringing Naughty Dog's world to life have apparently taken an ignore the source material approach to The Last of Us, because of course they did. Asked during a recent interview with USA Today if they had played the game at all before signing on, Ramsey admitted, "I was actually encouraged not to. After my first audition, they asked me, 'Have you played it?' And I said, 'Nope.' And they said, 'Keep it that way.'" She fully explained. Good Lord! There's source material, Hollywood! You didn't want her to go and see what that source material was? Gamers who love The Last of Us, this is writing on the wall. This is the biggest fucking red flag you could ever get on this adaptation. It is not going to be faithful. It is not going to honor what you love about the games and that I actually have major problems with. All right? It's not going to honor any of that. So let's go ahead and just all collectively say we could all do something better with our time. But no, some of you guys will go out and actually try to watch it. She playfully explained, "But I did watch some of the gameplay on YouTube just to get a sense of it." So your bosses basically tell you, yeah, keep it that way, don't watch it. And your answer is, okay, nobody's looking, I'll go watch a Let's Play. That was basically what you did. I'm kind of happy for Bella Ramsey that she did that, because then at that point, maybe she'll understand the character, and maybe she'll understand how the character that she is playing is not going to be the Elly that everybody wants. And I'm pretty sure I know exactly why they told her, don't go look into Elly, because as I pointed out on Twitter, she'd probably leave the role, and then they would be down yet another Elly. Because Pedro Pascal's enough of a fucking cuck, from what I've seen in his other projects, that he would totally go on board with continuing to be Joel. After all, he has to make up for the fact that those bastards over at Disney Plus wouldn't allow him to show his face for the longest time on The Mandalorian. The Last of Us will be premiering on HBO in 2023. I have no problem telling you guys I'm not going to be watching a minute of it. I'm not even remotely interested. Last of Us Part 2 has pretty much killed my my whatever fandom that I might have had for the games. I did like the first game at one point, but seeing what happened with the story that was being done there, that I know that Amy Hennig worked on before getting kicked out of Naughty Dog by people like Neil Cuckman. Uh, Last of Us Part 2 was so much of a bastardization that it pretty much just kind of cleared any desire that I would have had to see a Last of Us Part 3. I know that Andrea is a fan of it, and we'll probably get into it, but I'm pretty much gonna, like, if there is a Last of Us Part 3, I'm gonna be laughing at it. Because I have no motivation whatsoever to get into the universe at all, given how Last of Us Part 2 treats the previous material. So, that being said, that's pretty much my opinion on this. I actually love the fact that Bella Ramsey basically went against orders and went to go research Elly. And yeah, you know what? Good on you. I'm glad that you did that, because ultimately they didn't want you to know the character that you were walking into. And I hope that through doing so, maybe you start pushing to get off this series quicker. I don't know. Maybe that's just the thing that'll happen. But that's going to go ahead and do it for this story. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. You can also check out my my Let's Play of, or the live stream Let's Play that we did of Last of Us Part 2. And you can literally see any hope that I had for the franchise die with it. So you guys can check that out. But I will be back to you guys very soon with yet another story for the GNRO minicast. Take care.